Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Basically, I've run this report on integration system detail. And in this integration, you can see the system, the templates using the template category, the integration tags it may have if there's any transformation, the direction event count, work that count, and create a date. If I look at the template category, you will see that the connectors are of multiple types. You have for HCM, you have for financials, you have for benefits, payroll, spend, student, and on. These are all the connectors that are available from Workday. When you go create an integration system, I was just reading through yesterday, like Boomi has a connector for Workday connector. I was trying to search if when I was doing an integration system, I was just to see like the core connectors. I was just looking at Boomi. I did not get popped up. Boomi is BO. Let's have a look. What is Boomi? You need a usable connector to the Workday Financial Management and Hupil Capital Management, which is using two types of connectors as a base. To configure your connector to communicate with Workday, two set of components you need: Workday Connection and Workday Operations. The design provides usable components such as URL, passwords, and other data definitions. After building your connection and operations, set up your connector within the process. And you have properly defined the Workday connector within your process integration map and from virtual system. Let's see. What do they say? The URL for the Workday services is this trading configure D bracket and then the version, the username, the password. The Workday connector represents a single instance, including login. You can use a Workday connector with different services and a pair of this connection to form. When you start building your process, you can set up Workday connector to point to sandbox and URL. When you run it, it doesn't give you much details about what the connector is about. From the looks of it, this is the web service thing. And if I go to our integration system, this one does not have the web services enabled. Basically, this is using the code connector worker. What I understand from this needs to be looked at into more details as to what they are trying to do. From the looks of it, what it seems like that it is using financial management and human capital templates. It seems templates. And what it is doing is it's asking for a URL in a password. It seems more like web services rather than a Workday integration connector. They're calling Workday connector, but this is web services. If you remember the web services, Default web services, I guess. I think it's called public web service. Let's see financial management. Let me see. Let's see what I'm using. Let's see. Let's see. That's one. Human captain. Come on. Or the human resources. These would be the public web services that would be exposed. If I click on View Visible, I'll create an integration security group. Create an integration user. Give access to this web services to that current integration user, depending on the sub-web services that I need to expose to. Because I would not want to give get input services to the entire public web service or the financial management, but depending on the area. Of the web service that I would like to expose for either get access or put access, I would give that security to that integration system group. Provide the link to this web service and give the username and password for that integration user to the vendor. And then they would be able to run these. These are all the web services operations like cancel accounting journal, cancel plan publish, and on. 37 web services. Which security groups are included and used by web service? Which web service it's using? If I create a custom calculation field added to that. Let's say for a worker, I have added a custom calculated field. Even that would be able. That value will also be able to be pulled from this public web services. Now for that, you will need to create another integration where they are able to pull the data from, probably a report. That will be two separate data sources. One would be web service, and then what would be a report with the web services link enabled for it. By default, let's say if we go to this account journal right, get, it will have the by default data elements right. The accountant will have cancel accounting journal. Accounting journal might be object. It is an object. Yes. It's a web service operation name. It's a transaction. What do you enable with web services? You enable transactions with web services. You can actually perform a transaction with web service. You can set in a command that cancel this accounting journal entry. To say, for example, this is connected to your bank. You're getting all your bank transactions into Workday as well, like a statement and everything. If you're using this financial management public web service and it is using accounting journal, who has access to cancel accounting journal transaction? The accountant, accounting supervisor, financial management system implementers, and these security groups have these accesses allowed to perform. My question was more precisely, when I create a worker right, my default worker will get a specific data. it will be assigned to the default security group called employee itself. Can I add a couple of more based on our organization needs? I might whether the worker is in EU and he is eligible for EU status or not. Kind of things on the object right. Those must be by default a worker data element. Is there a possibility to add new targeted fields onto the worker object itself? Yes, you can. Those are called custom object. If I say you custom object and a field that is not available by Workday, but you need to create a field for that. If I look at new custom object and let's say I'm looking at the worker data source on the business object and then I'm looking at the project worker. It's not showing me here, but let me show you in another way. If I go to Logan McNeil's account, and if I go to additional data, I'm looking at the data. A B blood, a B apparel type, a B vehicle type, and apparel itself. And then sizes of apparel, like a t-shirt. Say shirt, and then the size. Say medium. Then I want to add the browser. Browse. Meet. Shoe, let's say 8. All these are custom objects. The apparel is not a Workday delivered field. It's a custom object on the worker. And the apparel types are your lists related to the custom object. Let's go ahead and try to edit a custom object. When you're creating a custom object, task name is create custom object. It's collect the worker or whichever object. Is it position? Is it work? Is it supervisory organization? Wherever it is, you provide the name. The web service alias will be automatically generated and allow multiple instances, single instance or no. Field type a type apparel type. And then you provide the domains where it is secured. And the display value, type of apparel and press. And then your EIB apparel type would be created on the object worker. This is object of worker. And you can manage that business object by going to worker job and then additional data. And this custom object can be used anywhere in Workday, then on the worker object. Like we just entered this information for Logan. And now you can see that on the worker itself, the apparel has been loaded or has been added to the worker's information. And this information can be pulled in. Reports can be pulled in your integration or however you want to use it. This data in that public HCM worker get worker call. Will this be able to pull always when there is a custom object? It must be a custom RAS report which has to be created. In my opinion, it should be a RAS report, but we have our human reports here. Let's say custom. Do we have anything in custom? Let's search. The custom organization. Or let's say custom object. We don't have the custom object. Not even additional data. Anything that is outside of the standard public web service. That would be not available in your public web service. Additional data. We can see that we don't have any object but apparel in your. It's here. Anything that is outside the order, because public web services are created as a standard interface of Workday. Any and every customization needs to be done outside of the standardized public web service. Hello, Avinash. Avinash, we cannot hear you. If you're trying to say something, I can't hear him. Fanny, can you hear Avinash? Alright. Avinash, if you can hear us, we cannot hear you. Alright. We were having some challenges with our transaction logs before. I would like to come back to it and show you how that's done. If we go to the configured services first, on the integration, and in here you will see two transaction services. Let me filter these out. Code connector worker transaction log service and worker transaction log data section fields. What I was making a mistake was that I was only enabling this. I was not enabling the core connector worker transaction log service. I went in and enabled that. After that, I went to my integration again. Then I'll get the option for configured transaction log service or configured integration transaction log. I kept it at default. Subscribe to all transaction time. I'm not going to override it. If I want to, I can. We have the option, but I'm keeping it default. And when I look at my integration events, when I ran it last time, how did you get that open in new tab? You need to right check. You write it on the item itself. Like right click on this. You'll get this menu. If I go to the last integration event that I ran on 27th, and if I look at my output file, Now I'm able to see my transaction log data for the worker. In 27, this happened. This happened. This happened. All the transaction logs would start coming in for the worker. Whatever has changed during that particular time period, based on the subscription that I have enabled. Currently, everything is subscribed. I'm getting all the changes on the worker between those dates, and they will be included in my transaction logs. If your integration is going to use the transaction log to track changes, you're able to do this as well. You're able to get this information. For this worker, hire Brad McCormick. Rescinded is false. Correction or corrected. In the transaction log, you get these information as well. Correction and none. Now, it all depends on how you want to use it, of course. Small mistake or small oversight in the integration system where I need to enable two services except for one. That was not letting us see the transaction logs. This and this. Alright, before I jump into Workday Studio as to how it works, let me open the floor for any questions that I assume you may have, or funny you have like funny, and I have been discussing for any open items that he may have. But I have any questions about the concepts or any integrations or anything that you would like to ask. Vishal, I have couple. Go ahead. I created this test. Funny, right? If you open. I had enabled the log service. And I checked the log service. I did not, then what it is writing, right? Not what. What do we generally tend to look at? Let's look at your integration first. You have transaction log service enabled and the worker transaction log service enabled. Great. Now, what are your subscriptions? Subscribe to all transactions. Correct. Let's look at your integration events. What? How have you set it up? You set it up for these three people. Your last successful was 021. You're currently running it for the whole month of March. And this is for these three workers. And it is not a full file. Yes, this should have your transaction log included in the file. Let's open your. No, you go to that retrieve log, right? Here, I did not see any. Go to the, it did not get. I think it has to be a full. Then it will get something. I will change that. But if you go and see that on the, go back and see the retrieve logs. What are we going to look at this? Right. I see there is a lot of data around it. First one is server log, but what is that profile log? I did not understand that server log is fine. Let's have a look. What are we going to look into this? This is going to give you the transaction details. The average side is the callout which integration services are being used. Sell side is a DIS worker saying. Interesting. We have to format this, to be able to see this. Con. This should give you an idea as to what this information is about. But it doesn't tell me. These are the 3 aids. And every worker, these are all the components which it interacts, or how do you do? Which services or integration subsystems it used to get the data that you are using. The services, the subsystems, and the components that it has used to run the integration. Does this mean how many calls it made? What was the total time, average time and on? And then the byte sizes for the packet transmission as well. Min-max memory and on. It gives you all the intricate components that is used in integration for all the calls. Does this mean this integration? Does this mean on the last column? Why we take only one example? It has taken 256 MB, 45 MB for getting this data out. I would say, oh my goodness. No, this is the available memory. Average memory, minimum memory, max memory. Something. Max memory use is what defines how much memory you use to run this transaction. This is the available memory on the backend for this particular transaction. 80 MB to run this particular graph. It is very resource intensive. I will look into it now. And is there a way when there is a particular as we should, you'll write? Is there a way we get alert if it failed? Yes, you can set up the alerts as well. If you go back to the integration system. And here you can set up configure integration notifications. And say you can figure on status. Say completed with errors or completed with warning failed. Does it come into the inbox of Workday or to any Outlook email address? You can set it up both ways. You can set it to Sage, our integrations. In fact, in the security group integration. And the administrator or integration monitor. If you have a security group set up that way. And then you can send it to integration. .erors@c. For example, if you have a dedicated email address where you are monitoring all your integration errors that are coming in, you can set it up this way as well. And recipients, let's say Steve Morgan or I think we should be able to send it to Logan. In here in the CPN side, I don't think you can select a single recipient. You can add email addresses here, your groups here. And like in your integration attachment in the subject, it's an integration completed with errors. Integration event. And let's say I want to add a line break. Let's say in the subject, I want to add integration, event has served. And let's say integration status. I would like to have the status say in the subject, the something that. Hola. How many campo? Where? This was questioned. We are hoping to add or mind today's question. He includes a trigger of the catalog. And then semicolon and then add. In continuation, we put the integration event and integration event status. In this way, I can send out notifications if completed with errors, completed with warning, failed or aborted, or any other one that I would like to select and put it on the status. Or I can set it up on trigger on launch that integration has generated. And if I need to any clear condition rules for it, I can set it up in the rules as well, that once the rule condition is met, only then send this notification out. Understood. If you like to preview, of course it will not give you all the data. You will get a notification in your bell icon for a sample. Of course, it will not give you the integration event or integration status because it has not run as yet, but it will give you an idea as to what this is. This would look like. Understood. I mean, Ash, can you still communicate with us? Any other questions you have? No, I'll just do some more today. What I'm interested in is in your integration event. Why do you not have any data in it? It's not a full file, I guess. But there may have been changes applied on Ulibal between 0 till 8021 or Henry Lynch. Let's go ahead and make some changes on Henry Lynch. Let's see. Let's go ahead and change the status title. Let's go ahead and change the status title. Change it on to design. And let's go ahead and change its location as well. You're on the first. Let's go ahead and change it to Absolute Canada Logica. She spoke will code. Your mind. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Success event submitted. This is completed. There's no compensation change for this person. We just changed the location. This is another compensation. Let's look at her lunch again. His location should be Absolute Canada, and his location is still Toronto. But his status has changed. That's good job. Worker history. Station change. Data change. That's good. and we can transfer to other clinicians. How's it? Maybe I know. Here you go. Here we can go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, let's check it out as stored. Is this information completely changed? Now he should have a couple of onboarding tasks with Harry Lynch. But generally speaking, his information should be updated. His information is Absolute Canada and his title has changed. Let's rerun your integration. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And let's take labels out. And it should not be a full file. While this is running, I would like to check your attributes for your integration. Attributes. This is all included. This is all included. Everything looks to be in order. Let's look at your output file. All of the work account is 0. All of the work account is coming out to be 0. Let's look at one more thing. Let's go to field overrides. And this person is in Canada and his company. is Gmail. Your company is USC. It's for Canada. Let's update this calculated field. The Global Model Services Canada Limited. Or is it some different company? And he is active. He's not terminated. Updated the field. Over. And now we're going to go to field. Let's relaunch the parameter. You see small little things. How you configure your integration will impact your output. You have many parameters around your integration that you have to keep an eye out as you are running. And how you are configuring your integration for the desired output. Oh Avnish, I just saw your message. You're having some problem with your system. You're not audible. No worry. We still have, I think, 1 or 2 more days for our classes. And we should be able to wrap it up before the weekend. Friday, I'm not going to be available. But we should be able to wrap up everything by test. The presentation which you shared, right? Can you actually give it to Palo Foundry? And can I get that? I did share it with them. But I think I'll create a Google link for that. And I'll share it with you guys as well on the chat too. Perfect. Now let's look at your output. Still, you don't have it. Integration details. Integration event. Ta ta ta. Subscription to all transaction types. Integration map. Sequence generator is there. It's not included. It cannot stop integration to include. We have this company active. In the selection is active status equal to. Let's make sure that Henry Lynch is part of this organization. And his active status is equal to yes. Define eligibility. Notifications, subscriptions, integration map. At what services? Maybe we are missing a service. Let's see this. We don't need it. Then if you deliver service, we don't need it. Says the option. I think the reason why we are not getting anything is the work, personal worker status, worker position, and say we don't need to do that. Absence compensation person. We don't do that. Let's enable these services. Let's configure them. Let's read in our indication event. Let's read in our indication event today. We are having the E-causative structures again. Let's remove that. No value output from applying empty integration by citizen status for citizenship status. I think it was in personal data. Same parameters as last time. Great. Now because we had not included the worker itself in the field attribute for the services, it didn't have any data to copy it. And you see the transition log services ones. Onboarding assigned roles, setup compensation change, data change, title change, benefit change. Whatever has happened to the worker during this time, from first till today, current moment, it will be all included in the transaction log. And let's look at the changes that we made to the worker. Here's the application. Loki. There are modifications. Hey, here it are modified. This is side is ill, Senior Director, payroll added. And we can see the business site name has changed to Absolute. Canada sounds good. I'll let you guys go. Thank you very much for joining in today, and tomorrow we'll start on the studio. I'll show you how a studio integration runs, what are the parameters, we'll discuss it, and then I'll open the floor for any questions. And if you have any otherwise, then we'll go to which closing are ready. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.